call to order the Lake Mills City Council meeting of November 20th, 2018. Would you all rise and help with the flag pledge? I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Time flies when you're having fun. Okay. Roll call when you have a moment.
Mr. Fields?
Here.
Mrs. Fritsch?
Here.
Mr. Foster?
Here.
Mr. Fritsch?
Here.
Ms. Schmidt?
Here.
Mr. Buchholz?
Here.
Okay, and we want to welcome Cooper to his first council meeting. Congratulations on being selected, and we look forward to working with you. And as I told him before the meeting, that he has permission to ask questions anytime when he doesn't know what we're doing, to just give us a point of order, and we'll try to help him if we know the answer. Okay, so correspondence, nope, corrections and approval of the city council minutes of November 6, 2018. Do I have someone with a motion to approve?
So move. Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, call the roll.
Mrs. Fritsch?
Aye.
Mr. Foster?
Aye.
Mr. Fritsch?
Abstain.
Ms. Schmidt?
Aye.
Mr. Fields?
Aye.
Motion passed 4-0.
Would Mr. Cooper, Mr. Buchholz doesn't get to vote on that
No.
at any time?
Nope.
Okay, see, that was my point of order. There you go. All right, correspondence. Does somebody have correspondence they would like to share with the council? Yes, go ahead, Steve.
I received one email, thank you for supporting the Lake Mills Main Street program and asking for our continued support of it.
Okay. And I just remembered that I do have in my bag and forgot to get it out, a thank you note from the family of Ruth Wollenberg for the plant from the city, the visit from the city, and they appreciated being remembered. So, okay. Any other correspondence? No. Okay. Going to item number 5, questions and public comment. We do not have a public hearing tonight, so the public is encouraged to address the council at this time regarding items on the agenda. Public comment may also be made at this time on items that are not on the agenda if you have registered with the city clerk before the meeting has been called to order. The state's open meeting law discourages action by the council on items not listed on the agenda. Please keep your comments limited to 3 minutes and state your name and address when starting your comments, and fill out the sign-in sheet provided on the podium. If there's anyone who would like to address the council, you can come up to the podium at this time. And seeing nobody moving in that direction, I assume you are here to answer questions later on our agenda item, which we will do if we have some. So, okay, seeing none, we will close questions and public comment and move on to the city manager's report. Steve?
You were provided the budget for October 2018, the general fund budget and the capital budget, and the general fund check register, and the police department reports, which were all available. Looks like South Main Street's pretty much wound down. A couple small items. We've done some patching and some cold patching on the street to try and get us through the winter time. Hopefully. The bids were awarded. I sent you that. I shouldn't say they were awarded. They were opened.
Yeah.
And the low bidder was Lalandi. And they won by 22,000. So there's some review going on because there's there's a mistake, it could change pretty easy on a $22,000 bid out of $9 million.
Ooh,
How does that compare to what we had, the ones that came in last year?
Well, we only had one bid last year, and
Right.
that was about $13.4 million. The estimate last year was $8,600,000, and the estimate this year was $9,400,000.
So they're under.
They're under this year. I think what's taking them so long to analyze the bids is that the water and sewer portion of it was estimated at about $3,100,000, and it came in at was estimated at $3,600,000, and it came in at $2,700,000. And so the road portion of the bid is approximately the same amount higher than they estimated. So from our standpoint, it went great. From their standpoint, it wasn't so great. So they're trying to work through it. There are a couple things in there. Obviously, 100% of the, or the vast majority of the street lighting is ours. And so depending on how that came out, could be a big increase for us. Along with, we also had 100% of the additional lane. And we had some other portions that were ours that we had portions of. But in general, I estimate that ours might go from about $60,000 to $70,000 on the road portion, on the participating road portion. So wasn't a bad deal for us, $1 million in exchange for $10,000. Mulberry Street's still moving forward. Most of the city's work is done with electric. There's still connections to houses being done. And then Verizon and Charter still have to move their old lines off the poles so that we can take the poles down.
When will we be asking for bids?
December 8th.
Next year?
They go, this year.
This year.
And they'll be open January 13th. And that's all, again, at the state level. That's a state bid project.
So then looks like things will be going forward next year with the repair.
On South Main Street.
Yeah, and Mulberry, hopefully.
I can guarantee you that it's probably very likely that South Main Street will go. It would be hard to figure out why. I know that they were already preparing for the bids to be higher than they anticipated. So I'm assuming that they were coming in thinking they might have to pay a little bit more. And the only thing that I think they might do is they might shorten the project up a little bit to make their costs match up a little bit better. But there's no logical point on the south end to stop other than where they're at. So I'm assuming that they're probably going to follow through on awarding this bid because I think it was right in their wheelhouse of what they were expecting pretty much.
will it still be a 2-year project?
The likelihood is it'll be a 2-year project. Very weather-based. I mean, this
Yes,
year,
we know that.
you wouldn't have gotten half the project done.
No. So if the weather is fantastic, it could move faster in a positive way.
They have given us indication that they would be willing to let them start digging as early as March 15th if the weather's good, which would give them a very good chance of getting done in 2019.
Okay.
Again, there's
Yeah.
a lot of
Yeah, that's
ifs in there.
right. We have no control of those issues.
Right.
Um,
LSL reporting is continuing. Our next report will be due next week. We haven't heard anything from the DNR from us not complying with the July 31st deadline. So I'm assuming that they are comfortable with where we're at. Radium is progressing. We have filed for an extension on that one. And we've also filed to do a cleaning, a chemical cleaning. And that was defined at the Public Works Board, if anyone was listening. They do there's some biological material that lives in the well that can trap the radium and keep it high. So there's a recommendation to do a cleaning and a flushing. And so that'll occur. We're filing to do that. And hopefully that'll occur shortly, and then we'll do a second set of Packer tests. AMI, we have about 400 electric meters in and about 450 water meters. So that's moving forward. Should be getting pretty well ahead on that. Cross connections, we have made all the phone calls. We will continue to follow up on that as we have to be prepared to submit a report in December 31st. Corrosion control, the test rack has been completed and is in the process of flushing, so they run it a certain amount of time to make sure that's similar to house situation, and then probably in a couple weeks we'll start actually running our test samples. The water rate public hearing is December 4th here.
What day of the week is that? Must be.
That's
oh,
a,
wait, I
no,
have
that's
calendar.
it's a Tuesday.
Oh, okay, we have a council meeting that night.
Yep.
What time is that meeting?
Do you
Do we know?
remember? I think it's
Before?
it's like 11.
Oh,
I was
during the
remembering
morning.
10, but it could be 11.
Yeah, it's either 10 or 11.
Okay.
Got my first review of the staffing study for the fire department. Sent it back for some corrections, should have it out shortly. We do have, is it a 4? No. We do have a EOC class coming up in January, I think it's 15th and 16th. You remember, Dave? Is that right? Yeah. Union negotiations are ongoing, and our next session will be 11/29. The Riverwood project construction plans are, I should say, the final or the preliminary plat has been prepared and is going to be on the council or planning commission agenda next week for the preliminary plat approval. Construction plans are being put together, and they'll probably be before the Public Works Board at their December meeting, which should be the 11th. And zoning will probably be processed in January. Health insurance is pretty much complete, so we're all transferred over to our new health insurance program. I actually signed the Rock Lake Activity Center agreement today.
Wow.
So they finally got their approval from the federal government sometime in the last day or two.
That's good news.
And that's it, unless there are any questions.
Does Rock Lake Activity Center have a list of things they're planning on doing right away?
They haven't gotten that to us yet. No, now that the agreement is signed, I'm assuming they'll go through the process of taking bids and thinning down what they can do when. I'm pretty sure that they're not going to do much right now, because the main one was roofing, and I don't think they'll do any roofing now.
How did the final terms come out on that?
That was probably yesterday. Actually, we had final terms out on it for a couple of weeks now, but they didn't we've been waiting and waiting and waiting for that to come out. And, they finally got it today. But that is pretty consistent with what we talked about. There was, the only item that was probably still outstanding was what process they would have to go through in order to be able to access the money. And it pretty much stays in our hands until they've provided lien waivers. And we get to review contractors before they're hired.
I agree that it's pretty late to do roofing, but are they going to have to do something to protect the roof over the winter? Or that hasn't been discussed yet?
That hasn't been discussed, and
Okay. Well,
I
do
doubt.
tell them I asked about that, so.
As a guy who works with a lot of contractors, I would say very unlikely.
Really?
It doesn't pay to really throw anybody up there patching right now.
No, not
It's-
patching, but I'm thinking covering like big sheets of something or other with, because you're going to have a lot of water coming in there if they don't do something.
But with
But
any,
anyway.
yeah, with any seams, it still gets underneath that.
Yeah.
Well, sad to hear it wasn't faster, so.
It had to do with someone retiring and giving 1 day's notice.
Oh, nice. Okay.
That wasn't me.
That's almost as bad as the weather.
Yeah.
Okay. I have a question. Are we finished with police interviewing right now? Or
For
is-
the open patrol officer position?
Yeah, you tell me.
The Chief Selk has the ability to hire a patrol officer full-time right now, and he's also developing a pool of part-time officers. There has been offers, I guess offer may not be the right word. The PFC has given its recommendation regarding a full-time patrol officer hire. He is in the process of a background check, drug evaluation, a psych eval, et cetera. And I believe the intent is to have an appointment at the next PFC hearing in December. So that's the 20th. I expect that night that there's also a part-time officer hired, appointed at that point, as well as a sergeant being put into position, so they'll run 2 sergeants from what I understand. I don't know if that's formalized at this point either, but that'll be a busy PFC hearing.
Okay, good. And Steve, I believe we had a little visitor to Lake Mills last night, or yesterday, right?
Just
right-
Santa?
Right at the bank of Lake Mills there.
Yep, I think he got put up.
Yep, Santa didn't forget Lake Mills, and we're real happy to see he's back, and we'll hope he does a good job of delivering his packages this year. So, okay. And thank the Public Works Department, please, for their timely work.
Yep, will do.
Okay. Anything else on your report?
No, I'm done.
Anybody else have questions or additions, comments? Okay. Moving on then. Acceptance of minutes for the Public Works Board of October 9th, 2018, and the Zoning Board of Appeals minutes for January 3rd, 2018. They will be placed on file. Item 8, council business, discussion and decision on EMS rate increase. It's currently tabled. Do we have a motion to take the item off the table?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. That's not debatable, I don't believe. So call the roll, please.
Mr. Foster?
Aye.
Mr. Fritsch?
Aye.
Ms. Schmidt?
Aye.
Mr. Fields?
Aye.
Mrs. Fritsch?
Aye.
Motion passed 5-0.
Okay, we're now discussing and possibly having a decision on the EMS rate increase. We do have members of the EMS, I can't talk here, the EMS department, and if anyone has questions and they would like the staff to respond, we can do that under this item.
Would you like a motion presented prior to discussion?
Oh, yeah. Okay, good idea. Do I have a motion?
I move adoption of motion 181121.
Second.
Thank you for doing that. And get that up here. Would you read that motion title, please?
Motion 18-11-2-1, acknowledging the price increase above the Consumer Price Index from Lake Mills Emergency Medical Service and authorizing the changes to the 2019 general fund budget.
Okay. And since the last meeting, we did receive new information or additional information, which definitely justifies the figures that you gave us. Does anybody want to speak to the visitors here tonight? And if so, we should probably, do we need to do the
Suspend the rules.
suspending of the rules? Okay. And if nobody wants to, no? You're so good, we don't even need to talk to you. Do you have something you really want to say to us?
We just want to make sure you have the information you need.
Okay, okay. So, well, thank you very much for getting that to us in a timely manner. And anybody else have comments? I think it'd be good to kind of do a real, and Steve, I think you're our best person for that, to kind of just, for the public, especially the big increase in usage, you know, the of the services, the costs.
In the report here, it discusses some of the staffing increases with appointing a full-time employee a while ago and in some POP positions. And that's where the price increases come from. It went up 50 cents this year is what the request is. And that's based on a per capita, so that's for each person living in a city. So it's about a little over a $3,000 increase, and that provides the EMS services for the city. According to the report here, if you look at all the numbers, Lake Mills is running on the lower end of the whole county average as far as their cost for EMS service.
And it's our understanding that that's partly due to donations?
Yep, just
Is that
supporting the
accurate?
community, and yes,
Okay, so,
community supports them very well.
yeah, so we're recognizing the support in the community and the good work of the people in your department. So we're a pretty lucky place is what we are. And anybody else have anything they want to add? Before we go ahead.
The only note I had is we're still waiting on reports. Am I correct? We're still waiting on reports from?
Yeah, they stopped coming about August. I haven't seen any since then, but I talked to Dave today. He said they'd start coming again.
Okay, awesome.
I have a question about the motion itself. It says that by passing this motion, we're authorizing changes to the 2019 general fund budget. I don't believe we can amend the budget by just stating that in the motion. I think we have to do something more formal than that. Maybe we could do it next meeting?
If you go back to the city manager's memo, I already made those adjustments just before we went
Oh.
into the last.
So when we adopted the
We adopted-
ordinance, it was already covered? Okay.
Yeah, I mentioned that when we discussed this the last time, that I'd already made the adjustments to the budget.
That's what I thought you had said.
You know, there was that time period where I was gone,
Mm-hmm.
and the motion was put together in that time period, and then the Monday when I got back, Betsy and I made several adjustments to the budget, and that was one of them, so we,
Okay, well then we're okay.
Jolly on the spot. Good job. Okay, and thank you for bringing it up and asking, because it's always better to check. So we are covered. Any other discussion, comments? So we're looking good here, I think. Okay, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Fritsch?
Aye.
Ms. Schmidt?
Aye.
Mr. Fields?
Aye.
Mrs. Fritsch?
Aye.
Mr. Foster?
Aye.
Motion passed 5-0.
Okay, thank you for your good work. And we'll look forward to receiving those reports when possible. So, okay. Thanks for coming, too. You're welcome to stay as long as you like. You know, we love an audience. Okay. Going on to item B, discussion decision on the Humane Society contract. Would you read the title to that motion, please?
Motion 18-11-2-2, authorizing the city manager to execute an agreement between the City of Lake Mills and Humane Society of Jefferson County.
Do I have a motion for the motion?
So move.
Second.
Okay, now we can discuss it. Steve, what do you want to tell us about this, besides what we got in our packet, or in addition to?
We need to have something in place to handle animals. And we've used Jefferson County Humane Society as long as I've been here, and several years before that. We've gone over it several times. I don't believe that there's any option that might be a little bit more expensive, but it's a little bit more comprehensive, so that we get a pretty good line of service for a relatively decent price. And we've had this in place for years.
And they're a no-kill facility, right? Is that correct?
Yes, they're a no-kill facility. They
This is-
also
Oh, I'm sorry.
they also get a lot of donations. Run a lot of
Do they do
programs.
they do a set rate on this, or is it like a per call, or?
No, it's not a per call. It's a set rate per year.
It's $16,013.57 for 2019.
Yeah, or $1,334.46 per month.
And how does that compare with last year?
It was a 2% increase.
Oh, okay. Wish everything was a 2% increase. Unfortunately, life does not go that way. All right, and so we're happy also to have them available to help us when we need it. And any other discussion? We have a motion on the floor. Seeing none, call the roll.
Ms. Schmidt?
Aye.
Mr. Fields?
Aye.
Mrs. Fritsch?
Aye.
Mr. Foster?
Aye.
Mr. Fritsch?
Aye.
Motion passed 5-0.
Okay. Item C, Resolution 1847, authorizing the 911 Joint Powers Agreement. Would you please read that for us?
Resolution 1847, authorizing the city manager to execute an agreement between the City of Lake Mills and Jefferson County. Be it moved by the City Council of the City of Lake Mills, Wisconsin as follows. Section 1, that the joint powers agreement between the City of Lake Mills and Jefferson County, copies of which are attached hereto and made a part hereof, is hereby approved. Section 2, that the city manager is authorized to execute said agreement and to take such actions as necessary to implement and administer said agreement. Section 3, that the city clerk is directed to send a copy of this resolution to Jefferson County. The city council does hereby approve the agreement and authorize the council president to sign the resolution.
Okay. Is there anyone who wishes to make a motion?
So move.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Discussion at this time. We do have the material that Steve gave us in the packet. For those of you at home, the items that we're voting on are online. You can go to tonight's meeting and you can see everything that we see here. So if you're interested, please open that up. Anything you feel, this is kind of housekeeping, isn't it?
Yes, since the joint dispatch went in, I think in like 91, we've had to pass this every year because that's part of the statutory requirement. So, yeah, there are a lot of these resolutions in the
Yes.
safe.
They seem to be increasing in number in other areas as well. So, anybody have questions for Steve on this item? Okay. Okay, seeing none, call the roll.
Mr. Fields?
Aye.
Mrs. Fritsch?
Aye.
Mr. Foster?
Aye.
Mr. Fritsch?
Aye.
Ms. Schmidt?
Aye.
Motion passed 5-0.
Okay. Moving on to item D, which is the third reading of Ordinance 1196A. Would you, since it's the third reading, would you read it, title and, I don't know, how much of it do we need to read, Vicki? It's just
You just have to read the title.
Just the
Yeah.
title, even though it's a third reading, okay. Thank you. So, okay, go ahead with that, please.
Ordinance 1196A, an ordinance annexing territory to the city of Lake Mills, Jefferson County, Wisconsin, parcel identification number 01807132422-007.
Okay. We did receive a letter supporting this from the Municipal Boundary Review, and so it's gone through all the steps it has to go through. And anybody have questions for Steve or Dan? Seeing none, let's call the roll on the third reading of the
We need to
ordinance.
do a motion.
Yeah.
Oh, we don't have a motion. My gosh, we did it again. I was gonna make it through a meeting where I didn't do that. Okay. Is there a motion?
Yeah, I'll move adoption of ordinance 1196A.
Second.
Second. Okay. Now we can. Now is there any discussion on the ordinance? Let's get this done right. It may never happen, you know?
It's okay.
Yeah, well, that's how it goes.
We'll get there.
Yeah. Okay. Call the roll, please.
Mrs. Fritsch?
Aye.
Mr. Foster?
Aye.
Mr. Fritsch?
Aye.
Ms. Schmidt?
Aye.
Mr. Fields?
Aye.
Motion passed 5-0.
Okay. Item E, which is the second reading, would you read the title for ordinance 1198, please?
Ordinance 1198, an ordinance to revise and consolidate, amend, supplement, and codify the general ordinances of the city of Lake Mills.
Okay. We talked about this last time and gave kind of a overall explanation of it. Again, this whole thing is online. You can see it. If you have nothing to do with your time, you can read it, right? So, and it was in works for quite a few years now, right?
At least a couple. I move that we suspend the rules and go to the third reading.
Second.
Okay. Is that discussional? I mean,
Yes, you can
yeah,
discuss it.
okay. Can I, is there a reason for doing that? Just asking.
I was in contact with the city attorney that I guess there is a need to get this thing moving along.
And it'll make it a little bit more,
Clean?
efficient to update certain ordinance updates that we're engaged in right now.
Oh,
So this,
okay.
if this is adopted, it'll kind of open the floodgates to the ordinances that you're going to see in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, it's my understanding, part of the problem is the old way of doing ordinances are numbered completely differently. So if we want to start amending ordinances, the holdup has been waiting for the new stuff to come online that's got the new numbering system. Otherwise, you'd have to go back and fiddle with the numbering
It'll essentially
system.
be done twice rather than once.
Yeah,
Oh, we don't want that. Once is enough. Okay, that's my editorial.
it's also my understanding this isn't really making substantive changes to what the council has adopted in the past. It's just making this conversion over into the new way of having it presented.
Any other discussion? Okay, now that's the motion to suspend the rules and
And move to the third reading, so let's have a vote on that.
We have a vote. Okay, let's do that.
Mr. Foster?
Aye.
Mr. Fritsch?
Aye.
Ms. Schmidt?
Aye.
Mr. Fields?
Aye.
Mrs. Fritsch?
Aye.
Motion passed 5-0.
And you need to read the title again.
Ordinance 1198, an ordinance to revise and consolidate, amend, supplement, and codify the general ordinances of the city of Lake Mills.
Now we need a motion.
That's right.
I'm going to get it right. Who would like to make the motion?
I move adoption of ordinance 1198.
Second.
All right, and discussion. just a quick review that this is something that's been worked on and is going to make everything cleaner and easier to work with. And what else, Dan? Anything else that we should say about it?
It does remove some outdated or inefficient ordinances that are currently existing. Really, overall, it's an effort to modernize the ordinance system that we have into kind of a more statutory form and consolidate information, make it easier to search, make it more user-friendly. It's a big step. It'll be much more available online. It will be linked to search databases like LexisNexis and Westlaw. This is the city of Lake Mills stepping into the 21st century regarding its ordinances.
Okay.
And once again, I mean, the important thing here is there's, was it?
I said at least the 20.
At least the 20th. The important thing here is that there are no, very, very, very little substantive changes. I can't say that there are none, but there's nothing that will affect your business in any meaningful manner.
And the attorneys that work with the city are going to be very happy that this is being done. It'll make
I-
their jobs a lot
I
easier.
think this is a boon for the citizenry as well. I mean, this is going to make it just much more accessible and much more user-friendly compared to what the system is right now.
Any other comments before we vote?
Is the code very much like the way the state statutes is written?
With regard to this codification process, yes, this is an attempt to make it basically a mirror of the state statutes in its form. The code right now is basically title, chapter, verse, whereas this will create specific codified sections that have a different numbering system. It'll be much more easily accessible and much more easily searchable, much more consistent with our current statutory kind of framework.
Yeah, the numbering system that we've been used to was actually established in 1984. So,
It's time.
yeah.
Okay. So let's see. It's 18 years and like 28 years and 6 more. So
34 years.
34 years, and so in another 34 years, there'll be something else that we'll have to do, but none of us will be here for that, so, okay? We hope. If we're still on the council. Maybe Cooper will come back and be on the council and have to do that, so, okay. Any other discussion on the council or staff? Seeing none, call the roll.
Mr. Fritsch.
Aye.
Ms. Schmidt.
Aye.
Mr. Fields.
Aye.
Mrs. Fritsch.
Aye.
Mr. Foster.
Aye.
Motion passed 5-0.
Okay, and thank you to all staff that worked on this over the years. Okay. Now, recommendations for future agendas. Do we have any? No. Let's see, this is the second meeting in November. Is it the first meeting in December? We will have the city manager's, what do we call it?
Performance review.
Pardon me?
Performance review.
Yeah, and
Salary.
also goes, the
Salary
salary goes with
recommendation.
that, right? Okay, so we'll have that. And did we say we're going to do first or second meeting in December to begin discussion at Sandy Beach? Okay.
Yes.
Now, did we say first or second?
Second.
Second.
Okay, so it won't be at the first meeting, okay.
There won't be a well, I guess that's still up for debate, but the only thing on the second meeting agenda will be Sandy Beach.
Oh, okay.
The, whether it's a study session or a regular meeting, I guess is
Yeah,
still up
we
for
haven't,
debate.
we can decide that on the 4th of December, can't we?
Right.
Okay.
So we're going to try and have all our fund transfers and all our fee recommendations in for the December 4th meeting.
Okay.
What else was there? I don't even remember.
And maybe anything that comes out of planning commission or, but we have to do public works on all that stuff, so.
Yeah, it
that
won't be
won't
anything
be-
that comes out of plan commission yet. That'll probably be the first meeting in January, but there's a lot of cleanup items for the end of the year.
Could we have an agenda item that would ask somebody from John's disposal to come and address the change that we approved last time?
Yeah, he's coming. His
Good.
name is Nathan Austin.
Yeah,
And
because,
he'll be here, and he'll have a bunch of information on, they're actually not going to make the change until like March 1st.
okay,
Oh, well, that helps.
And they'll provide us a letter that we'll put in the stuffers. That was one of the reasons, is they wanted to provide us a letter, put in the bill, but ours are both November and December, we're already full, so he wanted to get it in then. Then what they'll do is, at that point in time, for a short period of time, they'll continue to run it the old way. They'll do the new way and the old way, but if you put it out on that, under the old system where you didn't call and you just put it out, you'll get a note put on your garbage can. And then 2 months after that, they hopefully are going to shift totally to the new one. But he said they actually do come in, if you call, they'll come in any day of the week, any week of the month.
wow,
Okay.
And so he says every city that they've done it in, they really like it. They haven't had a lot of resistance. He said most of the resistance comes from the people that they have identified as problem people anyways. You know, providing illegal materials. So one of the things that we had a discussion today about, I got a call from a resident, and they were complaining about them not picking it up, and he said if they had called, they would have been told how to get it into the form that they would have picked it up in, which is, you know, anything over a certain length you have to cut. Any types of material, some of the types of materials you have to put in bins, in certain size bins, so that it doesn't get too heavy for the guys to pick up and those types of things. And so he said this way they can give them that information right away, so everything's prepared when it hits the street, so that their people already can pick it up. Because he says if you get a 12-foot 2x4, where would we put that? If you got, 700 pounds of concrete on the corner, what are they going to do? You just don't. You can't have somebody doing that. So they'll go through the process of telling them how to handle that. So the phone calls is a benefit to them, it's a benefit to the homeowner, and they think it'll go pretty smoothly.
so,
But Nate will be here
okay,
December 4th.
Okay, that's what it's.
good, and then that way, because it'll be noticed, public will be aware that we're going to be discussing it. Good.
Okay. Anything else at this point that you want put on the next agenda? Okay. Obviously, you can still do that after tonight, and sometimes things come up that we don't know about that have to be put on, so. Also, December is very cooperative. The third Tuesday is the 18th, which is the week before Christmas. So it's nice because we can do business that week without it becoming really a pain. So that's to our advantage. Okay, and what happens, just have to look here. I don't know if I have a January. Somebody ever do we have, the first is on Tuesday, isn't it, of January?
Yes, I believe it is.
So does that mean there won't be a council meeting that one?
Yep.
So there will be no council meeting the first Tuesday of January because it falls on New Year's Day, which means we'll only have one meeting in January, the third Tuesday,
The 15th.
15th.
the 15th. Okay, just for everybody, don't sit at your TV on the 1st of January where you won't be here. So, and hopefully you won't be there either. So, all right, moving to item number 10, convene into closed session. Would you read that for us, Heather? I'm sorry, I pulled that fast one on you. Okay.
Convene into closed session pursuant to Wisconsin statutes 19.85 sub 1C, compensation and performance evaluation data of employees over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercise responsibility, and Wisconsin stats 1985 sub 1G, conferring with legal counsel who is rendering oral or written advice concerning strategy to be adopted by the body with respect to litigation in which it is or is likely to be involved.
Is there a motion to convene into closed session?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Is that discussed? I don't think anybody has an issue. Would you call the roll?
Ms. Schmidt?
Aye.
Mr. Fields?
Aye.
Mrs. Fritsch?
Aye.
Mr. Foster?
Aye.
Mr. Fritsch?
Aye.
Motion passed 5-0.
Okay, and we will not be reconvening in here. We will just do it in after our closed session. So this concludes our television broadcast, and we appreciate you being here to listen to us. Thank you.